This is Women Road Warriors with Shelley Johnson and Kathy Tuccaro. From the corporate office to the cab of a truck, they're here to inspire and empower women in all professions. So gear down, sit back, and enjoy.
Welcome. We're an award-winning show dedicated to empowering women in every profession through inspiring stories and expert insights. No topic is off limits on our show. We power women on the road to success with expert and celebrity interviews and information you need. I'm Shelley.
And this is Kathy.
Women get so busy, they often neglect their health and well-being. It's easy to do, but it's important to take care of ourselves first or we can't compete in life. Gaudreault knows this all too well after observing what busy career women were neglecting as she worked for Fortune 500 companies. She took a career shift in her 40s to become a certified holistic nutritionist and founder of Veev Health Wellness. She helps women support their best health and best life and realize they have some of their best years yet to come. She specializes in midlife health challenges. Annie practices what she preaches. In addition to being attentive to her own health, she's an endurance athlete. She's completed over 10 marathons and 3 long-distance triathalon Ironman competitions. I want to say that's really impressive.
I was going to say, wow.
Yeah. Annie is with us today to share her insight and her knowledge. Welcome, Annie. Thank you for being on the show. You're quite the powerhouse.
It's fantastic to be here. Thank you, Shelley. And thank you, Kathy.
Yeah, we've got a lot to learn from you, Annie. You're quite the powerhouse. Tell us more.
Well, the first thing I want to say, because people always think like, oh my God, you must be like this machine. And I love to tell, you know, when you were a kid in school and they would put all the kids in the courtyard and they would be like, okay, let's put some teams, you know, to play whatever game. I was honest to God, always the last kid picked because I was horrible at sports. I was terrible. And this is a true story. So I promise you, I am a very, very normal, not particularly gifted athlete, but what I am is a little determined. So endurance sports are great for people like me because you can just, you know, you don't need particular skills. You just need to put one foot in front of the other.
It's
determination, I think, is Shelley's middle name.
Yeah, tenacity, determination. I don't like the word no. Yes.
Yeah, that's
awesome.
I can relate with being the last kid picked. I was that kid too. Part of it was I needed glasses. I was tremendous at kickball. I could see where the ball was going on the ground, and I was good at running. You know, running away from people. It's like, look at her go. You know, but yeah, I mean, for you to get into that with 10 marathons, triathalon, Ironman competitions, that's amazing. You really do practice what you preach. What exactly do you do, and what got you to do this shift? I know that you saw a lot of things in corporate America.
Yes. And, you know, I was blessed that the first career, I always like to say, my first career as a brand consultant chose me. I really fell into it. It was not like I saw a bright light and thought, oh my God, you know, this is for me. It was a really good career. It was very rewarding. I got to work on massive international brands. It was very exciting. And I had fabulous clients. But funny enough, you know, I had very little self-awareness in my 20s. I had a pretty rough upbringing. You know, our mother was mentally ill. It was so we basically as kids had to raise ourselves. And I was, you know, thousands of dollars later to therapists. So for somebody to tell you, you know, like it really, you know, you just were surviving. And I was like, yep, I know that. So it took me a long time to know who I was. I was basically on automatic pilot for, you know, most of my 20s and the better part of my 30s. And all that to say that that was a little bit of the process of discovering, you know, I've had this career and it's been really good. But slowly, as I was doing some personal work and I was finally, growing up and maturing, I discovered, I love this whole world of health and fitness. And it was through that discovery and, started running at first that I thought there's got to be a way for me to be able to make a living doing this. I got to find a way. So it took a long time because, of course, I had to pay my bills. I was single at the time, and I thought I need to, find a way to get a degree or something that will allow me to do this full time and pay my bills. So after a little bit of research, I decided I was going to go back to school, do my degree as a holistic nutritionist, and then start my practice. So it took me 4 years because it was all part-time in the evening while I was running my company. And I never looked back. I graduated, I was mid-40s, and I was so thrilled that I did. There were a lot of moments, though, full honesty, that were pretty horrible because doing biochemistry at night after a full day work, your head wants to explode.
My head would want to explode even if it wasn't at night with that kind of topic.
It was painful, but I was so clear that this is what I wanted to shift to, and that I could not continue to do what I had been doing all those years, even though it had been a fulfilling career, etc. I didn't hate it, but it was not fulfilling at all. And it was really misaligned with what I believed, right? Like I loved health and fitness, and I was working on Burger King. Come on. It was
yeah. Not exactly the junk food that people love to eat. It's so tasty, but it really isn't good for us.
Yeah. Once in a while, it's okay, but it's not exactly the way to feed ourselves. So all that to say that's how I landed making that shift. And I was in my mid-40s. And I got to tell you, nobody, certainly on my classmates, which were all like basically 24, 25, 26-year-olds, they all focused on youth. And nobody cared about midlife women. Nobody was talking about menopause. And all around me, all my friends, the wheels were starting to fall off with, some people had cancer. There was some autoimmune diseases. Some women were getting into perimenopause, and there were no tools. Nobody was talking about it. So I thought, hey, this looks like a great niche for me to focus and support women in midlife.
Oh, absolutely. There's so many different issues that women can go through with perimenopause and menopause. And I think there's been more talk about it in recent years, but it seems like it's been kind of that taboo subject. Nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to deal with it. And then you have women who will get together and say, are you feeling this way? It's like, why am I sweating like I've been running a marathon, this kind of thing. Women will talk about, but they don't really have the answers. And I don't think that doctors are very supportive in that way.
No, and they're not educated. The thing that is really pissing me off is the fact that they go through med school and there is very little curriculum taught on menopause, which is, 51% of the population, women.
Oh, yeah.
And, right? Like, and this makes me crazy, but this is a normal passage of life. It's not a disease. It's not a, abnormal state. It is a very, very natural transition, yet we are so behind in terms of research, and just like all research for women's health, by the way, right?
Yep.
Well, that's been full of misogyny. So we have had these poor doctors are not equipped. And so this is why, this is good for me in terms of my business, because women are not educated, and then they go to their doctors, and you may have heard this. There's an OBGYN in the US that revealed that when she was doing her internship, so in order her residency, in order to become fully graduated, the women that came with these types of symptoms, they used to call them the WW. And it doesn't stand for Weight Watchers, I can assure you. It stood for whiny women.
Oh, my. Oh, that's terrible.
My God, that's awful.
Yeah.
She wrote about it, and she's very public about it. And because and the only redeeming grace is that all these MDs were uneducated. Truly, you go through all these years of school and they did not have a curriculum that is telling them how to support women. So no wonder women are frustrated and don't know, because we have to do our own due diligence, and this is what we have to do now. We have to do now. I am encouraged because if it took Hollywood, so be it, but finally there's some celebrities that are talking about it, and if it takes Halle Berry to get some funding for some menopause research, so be it.
Menopause has been stigmatized too. Women don't want to admit that they're dealing with that because it's the concept that they're over the hill.
Oh yeah.
And that's so wrong. I mean, it's just a transition. It's a hormonal change, no different really than pubescence.
Exactly.
I'm in the middle of menopause, and I work. There's 110 men, excuse me, where I work, and there's only 7 women. And when I tell the boys, like, move over, I'm having a hot flash, I need some air, you should see them run. Excellent. And I get the look on their face. They're like, oh, dear God. Because every single man that there has experienced it, whether with their mother or their wives, or like, oh, no, don't mess with her. Right? Move.
I love it. And that's exactly what we need to do. We need to be vocal. And we need to talk about it. And, we don't have to reveal our entire lives, but we need to be able to just not feel bad about the fact that this is happening.
Mm-hmm.
Full stop.
I get so hot, and there's nothing up, like where I work in an open pit mine, and I'm on equipment all the time. And if I'm lucky enough to get into a lunch shack, what I do in the summer or whenever I'm going through a moment, I'll just pull into a shack, and there's frozen ice bottles, and I'll just put that in my in my sports bra.
Great idea. I love it.
Because it cools down the core.
Yeah, good idea.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my God.
So Annie,
guys are thinking like, Kathy, really?
I think it's a great idea. Why not? It works.
Hey, it works.
Annie, what causes the hot flashes? I mean, you think, when teenagers go into pubescence, it's a totally different change. Of course, they have their own issues and emotional upheavals and everything else that go with that, because it's a hormone change. What causes the hot flashes, the inability to sleep, the various things that women talk about when they're going through perimenopause and menopause?
Yeah. Well, one of the big misunderstood part of menopause is that the master hormone estrogen, that of course 99% of people are familiar with, is not just simply a sex hormone. Estrogen has a role in a woman's body, to the point where we have something called estrogen receptors, little places for estrogen to go into the body to play a protective role, to play a secondary role. And what you don't know is that you have estrogen receptors in your brain, in your heart, in your GI tract, certainly in your breasts, of course, but in your bones, in your muscle. So menopause is a total body, like full contact experience. Right?
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And we were never taught that. We just thought, estrogen, regulates our hormonal from a menstrual cycle standpoint. And of course, for pregnancy, if that's what we wish to. And then it's gone, so we can't have babies anymore, right? That's usually how it's so falsely explained. Right. So as estrogen during the perimenopause phase, it's like a crazy rock and roll show. It's like up and down, up and down, up and down. And that's why we can experience a range of symptoms. The Menopause Society recognizes 34 symptoms, believe it or not. So 34 symptoms. And I think there are more than 40.
34. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
And personally, I think there's over 40. But that's why there is such a big range of symptoms, right?
You mean roller coaster of symptoms.
Yeah,
That's a good description. Yeah.
Yeah,
it is.
that's how I feel. I'm up and down. I'm all over the place. It's like, my
Yes,
God, sometimes I'm upside down. I'm inside out. I'm everywhere.
exactly. And then,
Oh,
estrogen has an effect, as I said, on the brain and the master gland, which is responsible for, let's just call it regulating your thermostat, right? That heat level gets disrupted. That's an understatement. And the body believes that, it needs to heat up. And it's like somebody screwed up with the thermometer at home and suddenly, turned it off and then you're freezing, or the opposite. So this is what happens. Some women, and in North America, I should say, it is the number one symptom. It's experienced by over 70% of women that go through menopause. But what's interesting, Shelley and Kathy, is that in some other parts of the world, namely like Asia and South Asia, it is not a big reported symptom. They experience different things. But this is what explains the fact that, some women, for example, without having changed their diet or activity and all that, suddenly at perimenopause, cholesterol goes up. Or suddenly you've got joint pain, or you suddenly go, what is happening? Why do I have acne? Why do I have, I have quite a few clients who we experience intense rage. Like they're like, I love my husband, I really do, but I think that I'm afraid of what I'm going to tell him because I get these like moments of crazy rage. All of this is part of the fact that estrogen is no longer there to protect and have, nice effects in terms of brain health or heart health or overall health. So it is no wonder it can be a very debilitating transition for some women. And now, one thing to also talk about is the fact that some women have very benign menopause transitions, right? Every woman is unique.
mm-hmm.
That's true. Yep.
My mom is 78, 79, almost 80 now, and she still has wicked, wicked hot flashes.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and that's interesting that you mentioned that, Kathy, because what we do know is that within about 7 years after menopause has occurred, normally we see most symptoms disappear. Mm-hmm. But some women still experience symptoms years and years and years after, which is why some women decide to stay on, hormone therapy, or what we call menopause hormone therapy, because as soon as they stop, the symptoms come back.
Mm-hmm.
Stay tuned for more of Women Road Warriors coming up.
Dean Michael, the tax doctor here. I have one question for you. Do you want to stop worrying about the IRS? If the answer is yes, then look no further. I've been around for years. I've helped countless people across the country, and my success rate speaks for itself. So now you know where to find good, honest help with your tax problems. What are you waiting for? If you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS or haven't filed in years, call me now at 888-557-4020 or go to mytaxhelpmd.com for a free consultation and get your life back.
Industry movement Trucking Moves America Forward is telling the story of the industry. Our safety champions, the women of trucking, independent contractors, the next generation of truckers, and more. Help us promote the best of our industry. Share your story and what you love about trucking. Share images of a moment you're proud of. And join us on social media. Learn more at truckingmovesamerica.com.
Welcome back to Women Road Warriors with Shelley Johnson and Kathy Tuccaro.
If you're enjoying this informative episode of Women Road Warriors, I wanted to mention Kathy and I explore all kinds of topics that will power you on the road to success. We feature a lot of expert interviews. Plus, we feature celebrities and women who've been trailblazers. Please check out our podcast at womenroadwarriors.com and click on our episodes page. We're also available wherever you listen to podcasts, on all the major podcast channels like Spotify, Apple, YouTube, Amazon Music, Audible, you name it. Check us out and bookmark our podcast. Also, don't forget to follow us on social media. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, LinkedIn, YouTube, and other sites. And tell others about us. We want to help as many women as possible. Too many women dread midlife, not realizing they're in their prime, and the best is yet to come. Annie Gaudreault teaches women how to thrive no matter what their age. She's the founder of Veev Health and Wellness. She helps women support their best health and best life. She made the shift to good health and wellness in her mid-40s after years in corporate America. It was after she saw many women having health issues after years of stress and poor lifestyles. Her work is important because midlife issues are still not covered extensively when doctors get their training, so they're not equipped to provide female patients the answers they need. Annie says one of the biggest misunderstandings about menopause is that estrogen completely impacts a woman's body, with estrogen receptors that play a protective role. They're in the brain, heart, breasts, bones, and muscle. When estrogen drops, it means menopause impacts our entire body. Our internal thermostat gets disrupted. Our cholesterol can rise. We can have joint pain or emotional rage. Annie helps women with that. Annie, what are your thoughts on hormone replacement therapy? They have bioidentical supplements, and then they have the pharmaceutical supplements, which are what, synthetic?
Yes. I personally believe that bioidentical can be a little easier for a woman's experience. But at large, menopause hormone therapy, it can be a blessing for many women. Not all women are eligible. So it's always a discussion with your, hopefully, menopause educated physician on what are the risks versus, the benefits. That's the conversation to have, because there are many, many benefits to, hormone therapy. Hormone therapy is still the gold standard for, good old hot flashes and night sweats. Well, if you're having night sweats every night, you're having terrible sleep, it's extremely disruptive to your life. So if you are a candidate for menopause hormone therapy, definitely it's a great choice. It's something that needs to be an educated choice. You need to know, eyes wide open, of also what are the risks. Yeah. I like bioidentical hormones because they are a little easier on the body. But if a woman makes a traditional choice, let's call it the pharma route, I know many women who this has changed their lives. Right? They go from miserable to what they call feeling human again. And right. I think that what's important is that women need to know that they have a choice, right? We have debunked all of the craze of that women health study that had said, stop all hormone therapy. It's going to give you a heart attack, or it's going to give you cancer. Right. Hormone therapy can be a savior for many women. And for some, unfortunately, it is not an option.
I think what women are looking for is something that's going to bring them back to the equilibrium they had prior to perimenopause and menopause. And perimenopause can start really early, like 30 years old or something, can it?
Yes. I'm so glad that you're mentioning that, Shelley, because we have this, I hear this all the time, but Annie, aren't I too young? Come on. And I go, absolutely not, because, this is the problem with averages, right? So in North America, we're looking at 52, 53-year-olds for an average of having your menopause. So that means that there are some women in that bracket that are 45, and some women that are also like 59 and 60-year-olds. And I have some clients who still have at 59 their periods regularly. So perimenopause is the phase before menopause, and that can last from 7 to 10 years. So if you do the math, right, and if you're going to have menopause at 45, you could be entering perimenopause technically as early as 35.
Ew. Yeah.
Yes.
And it just seems so very unfair. I think women think, why the heck do women have this burden where everything changes? It's like their body's betraying them. And men
Yeah.
don't seem to have that, although they have hormone changes too.
Oh, yes.
A lot of that comes out when they, decide to go buy a new sports car at midlife crisis. I mean, that's how that's what it's called with men,
Oh, yes. Because their testosterone, their levels of testosterone will drop just like women. But instead of being the chaos that we experience, it's just a nice gentle slope. But it does decrease, absolutely. And there is something called andropause, which is, men's experience of hormonal change as well. But their transition has nothing compared to do with compared to what women experience.
No, and it's interesting that the pharmaceutical companies address that with, you see it, erectile dysfunction. That's a huge moneymaker because that's part of probably the andropause. And that is talked about all the time. And you see the commercials, the lovely couple sitting out on the sunset, walking hand in hand. And, but they don't talk about answers for women. It's.
I was just going to say, it's a double whammy that women experience because we don't just live in a sexist world, we live in an ageist world. So this is the double whammy that we experience now at midlife, right? I mean, women are revered for their beauty, and when you say beauty, right, it's a lot of 22-year-old. I mean, I cannot get to see a dermatologist right now because dermatologists are so busy with Botox procedures and on people who are like 30-year-olds, right? There is so much plastic surgery. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So imagine, right? You're 55. I am 55 and my body is changing. And certainly your hair can be changing also at menopause. This is a very common thing. But of course, your skin and your wrinkles and everywhere around us, we're supposed to be like, oh yeah, the optimal for beauty is this thing. And the reality is that it has nothing to do with what is normal. I am glad to see some voices out there actually being very vocal about, aging the way that you are. It doesn't mean you don't take care of yourself. It doesn't mean you don't do your best, but to show women that are looking normal for 55. I don't know if you saw the Sports Illustrated issue, but they have a special, I think it's a 60th edition, and they have models of all ages. And I love that, including like Gail King.
I was going to mention, Gail's on the cover. She's 69. Wow, she looks fabulous. I did see that cover. They posted it on LinkedIn.
So
amazing.
I am optimistic that we are going to have more, with more education around menopause, more voices talking about this, as you said, that we can talk about it the same way that we're talking about the little blue pill, right? And erectile dysfunction, so that we're just like, this is just something that women go through. Everybody take a deep breath, and we have some options. I believe with more research, we will have more options, right? There will be more options than hormones. There will be other options for women to ease this transition, depending on what the woman is experiencing, right? Because as I said, 34 plus symptoms, there's a gamut of things.
I think a lot of women also want to be able to stop the clock, reverse this process, have something that they can do. They're looking this sort of thing up on the internet all the time. Something that's going to stop the clock and keep them at the optimum vitality and looking fabulous and not having the weight gain and the various other issues. How do women do that? Is that even realistic?
Well, there is no such thing as stopping the clock. But what we can do, Shelley, is definitely be empowered to take some actions that will definitely slow down the process of aging. And so let's talk about three of the bigger ones. One is nutrition. So definitely the number one thing that women can do. And there's now research that proves that an anti-inflammatory diet, such as, often we hear of the Mediterranean diet. So the Mediterranean diet is typical anti-inflammatory. Women that are at peri and menopause who follow that type of framework of eating, after 4 months, see a significant reduction in their menopausal symptoms. So not only is it doing good things in terms of your symptoms, but we also know that it's one of the best diet for longevity. So so women can definitely, look into that. And it doesn't matter if you are, a vegetarian or a meat eater, or you eat fish and not meat. You can be on what I call this Mediterranean framework. What's important is that it's an anti-inflammatory diet. It certainly does not include my friend Burger King, but it is a very flexible way of eating. And that's really important. This become non-negotiable. More protein, more fiber, less sugar. That's all going to help you for sure. We also know that movement now at midlife has become like non-negotiable. We need to move, but remember how we went through the 80s with Jane Fonda and, in her leotard, right?
Yeah.
The craze, and it was just like, just like sweat yourself to death, and more cardio, you're going to burn more calories and all that. Well, this is exactly what women at midlife do not need anymore. So what we now need is shorter, more intense type workouts, because we want to reduce the stress hormone called cortisol. We want to be able to calm down.
Like for me being 55, and I sit in equipment for 13 hours a day for 14 days straight. So when we have a gym, but like I'm exhausted because like half the time I don't even like, during my breaks, I usually take a 20-minute nap if I can, if I get a break. And on my time off, what I do is yoga, Pilates. I do walking uphill rapidly, like on an incline. And I do a little bit of strength training, cardio, like half and half sort of thing. Because I find if I don't do stretching, at least, like I feel it's so rough in the equipment that I can't even move. Like I need to. It's not even a requirement. It's as if my body craves it. Like I have no choice but to go stretch.
I believe it. And I love your focus on yoga, stretching. That's really great. It's also really good for regulating the nervous system. So we actually, help lowering cortisol levels this way. The big emphasis has got to be now on strength and resistance type training, because we are now, as I mentioned, right, estrogen had a protective effect on your muscles and had a protective effect on your bones. So we now have to support those, and strength training and resistance type training is the best type of movement for women in terms of protecting our bones, because we are, of course, at risk of osteoporosis. We are losing, muscle mass every decade. And it's also really great because it is the one that is more proven to allow us to lose weight. And the focus here being, I love this, there's a PhD who only does research on women and women at midlife. And she always says, learn to love to lift heavy shit. And I love that. So what we benefit from now, which is a shorter amount of reps, but with more weight. So we are not doing these like 3 sets of 15, which is a lot of how trainers used to train people. But now we want to be, of course, you have to work your way through there, but shorter amount of reps and more weight, more resistance. And that will make a big difference in how women will be.
Okay.
And I got to tell you, I was a cardio addict. Like, I just love my cardio, being an endurance athlete with all the running I have done. But, in my, late 40s, I could clearly see that my upper body, my muscle mass was changing, and I needed to make some significant changes. And strength training has been incredible in terms of that metamorphosis.
Stay tuned for more of Women Road Warriors coming up.
Dean Michael, the tax doctor here. I have one question for you. Do you want to stop worrying about the IRS? If the answer is yes, then look no further. I've been around for years. I've helped countless people across the country, and my success rate speaks for itself. So now you know where to find good, honest help with your tax problems. What are you waiting for? If you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS or haven't filed in years, call me now at 888-557-4020 or go to mytaxhelpmd.com for a free consultation and get your life back.
Industry movement Trucking Moves America Forward is telling the story of the industry. Our safety champions, the women of trucking, independent contractors, the next generation of truckers, and more. Help us promote the best of our industry. Share your story and what you love about trucking. Share images of a moment you're proud of. And join us on social media. Learn more at truckingmovesamerica.com.
Welcome back to Women Road Warriors with Shelley Johnson and Kathy Tuccaro.
Women don't need to be afraid of getting older. There are things you can do to take control. Aging can be slowed down with good nutrition. Anti-inflammatory diets are very important. This includes Mediterranean diets. Women who are perimenopausal or menopausal can see a reduction in their symptoms eating these types of diets. These diets also help with longevity. Eating more protein, more fiber, and less sugar helps as well. Also, move around. That means shorter, more intense workouts to reduce the stress hormone cortisol. Yoga's also good. Strength and resistance training is also essential to protect muscle and bones. That's also been proven to help us lose weight. Annie Gaudreault teaches women how to thrive no matter what their age. She has all kinds of tips for her clients. She's a certified holistic nutritionist and founder of Veev Health and Wellness. Annie, I think a lot of women are concerned with some disturbing weight gain. They get weight in places they never had before. They get the pooch. They get, a bigger butt.
Belly.
The belly, the pooch, all of these things that really, when a woman looks in the mirror, she's like, what the heck? They avoid mirrors. How do they compensate for some of that? I mean, these are some of the changes. And I think that the tendency with both men and women, frankly, is to say, I want to stop this nonsense. My body's out of control.
Yes. Yeah. And it's interesting because science has not been able to determine why the distribution of fat now becomes more centered around the middle. But it's really important to actually deal with it. And I don't mean, you to go back to what you looked like when you were 22. But we are very aware that fat that is what we call visceral, i.e., it's that fat that is surrounding your organs, surrounding the liver, the kidneys, etc. That fat is actually really, really unhealthy. We're not talking about the fat that is just sitting under the skin. So this is
about the muffin fat, the muffin top.
Exactly. But we want to make sure that that we take that seriously, because it will affect your risk factor in terms of diabetes, in terms of cardiovascular. And, cardiovascular diseases are the number one killer of women. It's not cancer. It's strokes. It's heart attacks due to the accumulation of plaque, in the arteries. So it's really, really serious. It's very serious. So this is why we need to change the eating patterns. It's why we need to be more active and focus on that strength work. That's actually going to help with the weight loss. But also, one thing that is important, Shelley, I think, because that's such a great question, is to not love ourselves with the conditions attached, right? Oh, I should be a size, whatever, a size 8. Otherwise, this is not working for me. I think that, we unfortunately live in a world so obsessed with image. And I'm not saying that it's easy, but what I tell my clients in my practice is, let's focus on getting you feeling strong. That's much more of a viable goal. And this is the goal for, living, living, being able to do the things that you want to do. Because here's a crazy statistics, ladies. After natural menopause, women on average have 33 years left to live. 3 full decades. So that's an awful lot of living, right? And we call it lifespan, but the more important conversation to have is health span. What is the quality of your life and the quality of your health during these 3 decades, right? So that we are not dealing with metabolic diseases such as high cholesterol, high blood pressure, to be put on statins, to have diabetes, things like that. We want to be strong so that we are resilient and we can do all the fun stuff that we want to do, right? Whether it's work or travel or hobbies or, community work, or like you, Kathy, jet setting to LA and, doing all kinds of great stuff.
You cover so many things, Annie, here. You have on your website the Ultimate Menopause Solution. I see you also do talks on the six pillars of healthy aging, the myths of aging, midlife without the crisis. That's a great one. What exactly do you do for women with Veev Health and Wellness? I mean, it sounds like you understand, you get it, and that's really a lot of it. Women just want to talk to somebody who gets it,
Yeah. So I have a private practice, so where people get coaching one-on-one on a 6 months basis. And then the Ultimate Menopause Solution is actually a group program because many women really benefit from the community, right? Hearing other voices and hearing other women's experiences. Why women are a lot frustrated is because of all the shit we see on social media and all the nonsense about, being a size 0. I've never understood that, by the way, how there could be such a thing as a size 0.
Right. Yeah, right.
It insults me. It really insults me. And I'm a size 8. Sometimes I'm a size 10, and I oscillate in there. But the community is really important. So the group is a program that I host where it's very holistic. We go through all of the solutions and the strategies for women at midlife, because as much as we can look at menopause as a negative, or, my body, I'm at war with my body and my body is failing me type of mindset, I actually believe that midlife is an incredibly liberating time. It can be, and I'm experiencing this and I see it with a lot of my clients, some of the best years. We're finally coming into our own, where we get to live, right? We get to live.
Sorry, I'm laughing. I'm laughing because I'm thinking we finally arrived to a point where we just don't give a shit.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Like, whatever. Excuse my language.
I'm going to dress the way I want, but think about all these articles and these things about, outfits for mature women. I actually did a LinkedIn post about that not that long ago, because I got a feed on social media, I think it was Facebook, and it had clearly what was a 24-year-old model with a size 2 body. And it was like, oh, bathing suits for mature women. And I was just like, this is such bullshit. I think that we want to really look at menopause as this unbelievable time for reinvention. And I think the reinvention is finally peeling the layers to be who we are and to speak our mind, to do what we want, to have the right, finally, the right boundaries so that we get to live our lives the way we want, not based on, society or family pressures or cultural pressures, etc. So I think midlife is one of the most exciting time for women. Full stop.
And it's true. Women have reached a pinnacle. They know who they are. They've mastered so many things. And it's an opportunity to really shine. Plus, let's face it, you don't have to mess around with, the monthly menstrual cramps and making sure you have a tampon or Kotex or, oh my goodness, got to run to the bathroom because I might have an accident.
Let me tell you, being in equipment and having your period is not fun. Not fun at all when you're in Timbuktu, especially if you have a heavy flow. Oh my God, it's awful.
And guys don't get that.
No, they don't.
A lot of them, I think that they look at women like, wow, you're kind of different. You're kind of an alien in some ways,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, which is unfortunate. And what you're providing is an understanding place where women can, like you said, find community and also know what they can do to feel their very best. Where do people reach out to you? Do you talk to them about all kinds of things and basically come up with a plan for them?
Yes. So in the private coaching area, people get a customized plan. And in the group programs, it's basically everybody's on the same curriculum. And people can simply reach out to me, and anybody that is listening to this episode, just come to the website and click on contact me, and you will get a complimentary session with me, and we'll talk about what are the options for you wherever you are in that journey. Whether you're in the beginning, you have questions, you're experiencing some things, you're frustrating about something, absolutely, I can support you. And simply go to my website, which is veev.ca, veev.ca.
Wonderful. I love what you're doing, Annie. This is
I love it. I absolutely love it too.
Thank you. Thank you. I think that women need more support. We need more education. And women need to know that this is not a death sentence. There's a lot that women can do. And we did touch on, many other things. We have a lot to say in how we're going to be experiencing this menopause journey.
Yes. And to overcome the thought that you're less than, I think women really struggle with that because unfortunately the fertility is how women's value is based. And women are vibrant, and that is not what defines us,
Exactly. No, and the best years are ahead of us.
Yeah.
By far. Absolutely.
Women can get out there and kick some butt. It's like, watch me, Absolutely. And you're helping them do that, Annie. I love this.
Thank you. It's been, it was a massive transition when I switched careers. And there were many crazy moments of doubts, but I can tell you, there's nothing that has been more rewarding than the last few years serving women. It's been absolutely a blessing, and it's wonderful to be able to see women transforming. And, the best testimonial I've ever gotten was a woman who said, when I met you, I had almost given up on myself. Unbelievable. It still makes me cry. It makes me choke because here's a mother, as she was a mother of four, a very, very smart executive coach, and young, right? Like 50, she was, I think, 50 or 51. And this is how she felt about herself. She's given up on herself with all these incredible gifts, this smarts and these opportunities in life. And this is how she felt. So the fact that we were able to, show her the possibilities and see her transform was the biggest gift.
You're just what the doctor ordered or didn't know enough to order. I think that's a lot of it. They don't have the right advice to give women.
Well said, Shelley.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, beautiful.
Annie, I love your perspectives and your insight. This is going to be very helpful to our listeners.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad. This is why I do these podcasts and these interviews, because it needs to be out there, and we need to show this positivity and the optimism, and that God, we're women and we rock and we're amazing, and just watch us.
We are women. Hear us roar.
Yay. Amen. Amen to that. Amen to that. And thank you for your amazing work.
Well, thank you, Annie. That's a wonderful compliment. Yes, we're here to empower women. That's our mission.
I think we're doing a pretty good job.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. You do. I haven't listened to every single episode, but you're remarkable.
Thank you, Annie.
Thank you. I'll take it. Take it for the day.
Love it.
Thank you for being on the show, Annie. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, and so grateful. And please continue to do your amazing, amazing work.
You too. Thank you. We hope you've enjoyed this latest episode. And if you want to hear more episodes of Women Road Warriors or learn more about our show, be sure to check out womenroadwarriors.com. And please follow us on social media. And don't forget to subscribe to our podcast. On our website, we also have a selection of podcasts just for women. There are a series of podcasts from different podcasters. So if you're in the mood for women's podcasts, just click the Power Network tab on womenroadwarriors.com. You'll have a variety of shows to listen to anytime you want to. Podcasts made for women. Women Road Warriors is on all the major podcast channels like Apple, Spotify, Amazon, Audible, YouTube, and others. So check us out, and please follow us wherever you listen to podcasts. Thanks for listening.
You've been listening to Women Road Warriors with Shelley Johnson and Kathy Tuccaro. If you want to be a guest on the show or have a topic or feedback, email us at sjohnson@womenroadwarriors.com.